What is up guys, and welcome to this Mobirise tutorial in which I'm going to show you how to turn a Bootstrap design into a fully functional Mobirise block. So for this video we are going to be working with this design you can see right here, and I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. So once you click on that link, you'll go to this blog post, and if you scroll down a little bit you can see the HTML and CSS code. For this video we'll only be using the HTML code. So go ahead and copy that, like so, then open up Mobirise, and you want to go to add block to page, and you can select any pre-existing block you want. Which one you pick doesn't really matter. So I'm going to pick this one right here, then go to edit code and replace all of the HTML code with the code that you just copied, and then you can go ahead and remove the CSS code like so. Click save and close. Okay, so now that we got our basic block set up, what we want to do is make the edit site styles panel actually affect the text on the screen. So as you can see right now, we can edit the text and type new things, but if we open up the site styles panel and try to, for example, change the font size, nothing is going to happen. And in order for changes you make in here to affect the text in the editor, what you need to do is add a couple of clauses to the text elements. So we'll begin by making the main title editable. So to do that, go to edit code and then find the text element that you want to edit. So in our case, the H2 element right here, and then do clause, and you want to add mbr section title and mbr fonts style, like so. Then go outside of the clause and you want to add something called mbr theme style, and then a display option, so display 2 in this case. I'm gonna explain what this means in just a second. So once that's done, you can go ahead and click save and close. And as you can see, the text is now being affected by the styling that we set in here. So for example, we can scale up and down the text or change the font and so on. So what we just did with the display option here is this is where you select how big you want the text to be. So in Mobirise you have, 5 different options here. You have a title 1, title 2, title 3, text, and menu. So display 1 is anything that has the display 1 set to it will be affected by the title 1 in here, and display 2, the title 2, and logically it would be display 3 for the title 3, but it's actually display 5. So that's a bit confusing, but just remember that 1, 2, 5, and the text is 7, and the menu is either 8 or 9, I think. Can't remember on the top of my head, but something like that. So a way to check what kind element it is if you click on the text, and you can see here that it's set to a title 2. Let's say we change this to a title 3. And then go to edit code, you can see that this has now been changed to a display 5. And if we set this back to title 2, go to edit code, you can see that it's now a display 2 again. Okay, so now we need to do the same thing for all the other texts on the screen. So go ahead and go to edit code again, and we are going to copy all of this, and then you can go ahead and remove the subtitle clause and just paste this in. And remember, we need to change the display to display 7 for the paragraph. And then if we scroll down a little bit, we can see the H3 element right here. That's going to be a display 5. And the paragraph here is going to be a display 7. This one is going to be a display 7. And here we got a display 5, a display 7, and finally display 7 here as well. Okay, let's go ahead and save that, and now all our text should be editable through the Site Styles panel. So let's try that out. For example, the text seems to be working, and the title 3 also seems to be working. So now the text is working as it should, and we can go ahead and add the background. So for the background, we can either go in the code editor and add a static color. So the way you would do that is just background and the color that you want, say white, click save and close, and now we got a white background. But if you want to be able to change the background from the block parameters menu, so for example through something like this, we actually need to add a bit of code to our block to be able to do that. So the way you do it is if you go to edit code and go to make a little bit of space on top of the container, and you can do mbr parameters. Whoops, close that, mbr parameters. And inside these tags is where you put all of your desired parameters. So for example, if we want to be able to change the background color, you would do input type, and then to get the color picker, you do color, and then give it a title. So title BG color, and then give the variable a name. This is where the actual value will be stored, so I'm gonna call it BGC for background color, and then you can set a value, or you can just close it like this and set a value through the editor. So click save and close, then go to block parameters here, and let's set a color here. Okay, so nothing's gonna happen when you do this yet because we haven't specified it in the CSS. So once you've set a color, if you open up the code editor again, you can see that it now has a value. So now what we need to do is make this value or set the background to the BGC value. So all you need to do that is do @BGC like so, and click save and close, and I think that should work. Yeah. So now we can set a background color here. If you also want to be able to set a background image, you can do pretty much the same thing. But one problem that you run into is if you, for example, open this up, you can see that you want it to be either a background image, background color, or video. You can't have them all at once. So the way that Mobirise solves that problem is they use a field set here where you toggle only one of the two. So if you toggle the background image, it's gonna toggle off the other one. So you have one that is selected and the other two are not. And then in the CSS you have this sort of like when the image is turned on, set the background image to this, and when the color is turned on, set the background color to this. So the easiest thing for us to do would be to just copy this and reuse this code instead of typing it all up again. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, and then go to edit code, and I'm gonna replace this with the code that we just copied. And I'm going to remove the video here because I'm not going to use that. So we got that right there. And then we can also go ahead and copy the styling from here. So copy that and replace the background here with this. And now click save and close. And you can see that we can set a background image or a background color. Okay, so the next thing we might want to do with this is if we have the background image, we might want to be able to set a color overlay. So if we open up this block again, you can see that the color overlay is being done here. You have a checkbox that checks is if the overlay is turned on, and here you have a condition that these only show up if the overlay is actually turned on. If it's turned off, it's not going to show up. So if you go to block parameters here, and you see that when the overlay is turned off, nothing shows up here, but when you turn it on, that condition is true and the overlay color and opacity shows up. So again, we can just go ahead and copy this like so, save and close, and we can add that to our project here. So outside the field set, copy and paste that in, click save and close, and as you can see, this isn't actually going to do anything right now because we're missing one key component, which is this right here, the MBR overlay. So go ahead and copy that and paste it in just above the container here, like so. And now we got the color overlay working. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is add some paddings and margins to this block. So for example, right now you can see that the text is way up here. There's like no space from the top to the text, which makes it look pretty crap, you know? Usually you would want some kind of spacing from the top to the text and from the bottom to the text. It makes it look a lot better. So let's go ahead and add that. So if you go to edit code again, and let's do it on top of this, you can add padding, and you can do something like 100 pixels for the top and bottom, and then 0 pixels for the sides. Click save and close. There you got some padding. But what if you want to set the padding through the block parameters right here? Well, if we take a look at this block again, you can see that open up the block parameters here and turn off the full screen setting. You can actually change the padding here by dragging on these sliders right here. So we can create something similar on our design. So let's go ahead and open this up, and these two are the ones that control the padding. So it's an input type of range, and this one controls the top padding. And you can see that this variable here is used when doing the padding in the CSS. So it takes the padding top value and multiplies it by 15 pixels. So right now this is set to 9. So 9 times 15 is the top padding right now. So let's go ahead and copy these and modify them slightly. So I'll put them on top here, like so. And since we don't have a full screen option, we can remove this condition right here. We want these to show up all the time. Okay. And then we can go ahead and remove this padding, and we can do padding top, and we want this to be the padding top variable, so the value that's stored in the padding top multiplied with 1px. Okay, let's go ahead and save that, see if this works. And there you go. You can see that it adds a bit of padding here. It's going to add a 9 padding total. Now let's change this max value to 100 and set the value to about 50 to begin with. And now you can see that creates a lot more padding. So it's going to take this value here. So when it's maxed out, it's 100. So 100 is right here times 1 pixel. So say you want it to have a max value of 200, just change that to 200, and when the slider is at max, it's going to be set to 200. I'm sure you get the point. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the bottom padding. So we want the max to be 100, increments by 1, and then copy this and change it to padding bottom, and this one to padding bottom. You can create some space there. Go ahead and save and close. And let's see. Now we got the padding working for us. Okay. So let's see what else we're gonna do here. Okay, now we should probably figure out a way to turn on and off different elements. So for example, right here, you can see that you can turn on and off different elements on the screen. The way you do that is by using a if statement. So in Mobirise, it's called MBR if. So to demonstrate, say we want to be able to turn off this title right here. What you would do is find, first we would make a checkbox here. So input type checkbox, and you can give it a title like H1 maybe, and give it a name H1, and close that off, and then find the title, so here, and then after the MBR theme style we can do MBR if, and then the name from here H1. So when this is turned on, this one is turned on, this one is going to show up. Click save and close, and now you can see that it's not showing up, but if you click the checkbox here, it's going to show up. So you would do the same thing for all the elements that you want to be able to enable or disable. So just to demonstrate, I'll show you a couple more, but I'm not going to do all of them. So I'll take this one, copy and paste, and I'll do like H2 to refer to maybe just subheading. So it's this one right here. So I'll do MBR if H2, save and close, and now we got an option for that one as well. So very simple. Might do one for the bottom ones combined, show you how to do that. So if you want to turn them all off using one checkbox, you can do input type checkbox, and then we can do title, I don't know, text, bottom, something like that, name, TB, close that, and now we need to add this to all of the bottom text. I suppose we might just be able to add it to this row. So say we want to do MBR if TB, that could work. Yeah, so we just turned off that whole row right now, and you can turn it back on like so. So that's how you turn on and off elements. And let's see what's next. We should probably create some sort of space between the texts, so it has a bit more space from say the title to the subtitle. And an easy way to do that is just by going to edit code, and in here you want to find the text that you want to create the space in. And in Bootstrap there's a class called padding bottom PB, and then you set it to a value, so say like 3. Click save and close, and now we got a bit of space here between the two. Maybe that's a bit too much. I'll set it to PB2 instead. I guess PB3 was better. And then for the text down here, I'm gonna do the same thing. So let's set it to PB1 maybe. Doesn't need that much. 1. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I don't know what else there is to cover. Yeah, I guess that's actually it for this tutorial. I hope you guys found this useful, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching.